ربي شقيا فلما اعتزلهم وما يعبدون من دون الله وهبنا له إسحاق ويعقوب وكلا جعلنا نبيا ووهبنا لهم من رحمتنا وجعلنا لهم لسان صدق عليا واذكر في الكتاب موسى إنه كان مخلصا وكان رسولا نبيا وناديناه من جانب الطور الأيمن وقربناه نجيا ووهبنا له من رحمتنا أخاه هارون نبيا واذكر في الكتاب إسماعيل إنه كان صادق الوعد وكان رسولا نبيا وكان يأمر أهله بالصلاة والزكاة وكان عند ربه مرضيا واذكر في الكتاب إدريس إنه كان صديقا نبيا ورفعناه مكانا عليا أولئك الذين أنعم الله عليهم من النبيين من ذرية آدم وممن حملنا مع نوح ومن ذرية إبراهيم وإسرائيل وممن هدينا واجتبينا إذا تتلى عليهم آيات الرحمن خروا سجدا وبكيا فخلف من بعدهم خلف أضاعوا الصلاة واتبعوا الشهوات فسوف يلقون غيا إلا من تاب وآمن وعمل صالحا فأولئك يدخلون الجنة ولا يظلمون شيئا جنات عدن التي وعد الرحمن عباده بالغيب إنه كان وعده مأتيا لا يسمعون فيها لغوا إلا سلاما ولهم رزقهم فيها بكرة وعشيا تلك الجنة التي نورث من عبادنا من كان تقيا تلك الجنة التي نورث من عبادنا من كان تقيا تلك الجنة التي نورث من عبادنا من تقيا وما نتنزل إلا بأمر ربك له ما بين أيدينا وما خلفنا وما بين ذلك وما كان ربك نسيا وما كان ربك نسيا رب السماوات والأرض وما بينهما فاعبده واصطبر لعبادته هل تعلم له سميا ويقول الإنسان أإذا ما مت لسوف أخرج حيا ويقول الإنسان أإذا ما مت لسوف أخرج حيا أولا يذكر الإنسان أنا خلقناه من قبل ولم يك شيئا فوربك لنحشرنهم والشياطين ثم لنحضرنهم حول جهنم جثيا ثم لننزعن من كل شيعة أيهم أشد على الرحمن عتيا ثم لنحن أعلم بالذين هم أولى بها صليا وإن منكم إلا واردها كان على ربك حتما مقضيا ثم ننجي الذين اتقوا ونذر الظالمين فيها جثيا وإذا تتلى عليهم آياتنا بينات قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا أي الفريقين خير مقاما وأحسن نديا وكم أهلكنا قبلهم من قرن هم أحسن أثاثا ورئيا قل من كان في الضلالة فليمدد له الرحمن مدا حتى إذا رأوا ما يوعدون إما العذاب وإما الساعة فسيعلمون من هو شر مكانا وأضعف جندا ويزيد الله الذين اهتدوا هدى والباقيات الصالحات خير عند ربك ثوابا وخير مردا أفرأيت الذي كفر بآياتنا وقال لأوتين مالا وولدا أطلع الغيب أم اتخذ عند الرحمن عهدا كلا سنكتب ما يقول ونمد له من العذاب مدا ونرثه ما يقول ويأتينا فردا واتخذوا من دون الله ويكونون عليهم ضدا. ألم تر أنا أرسلنا الشياطين على الكافرين تؤزهم أزا. فلا تعجل عليهم إنما نعد لهم عدا. يوم نحشر المتقين إلى الرحمن وفدا. يوم نحشر المتقين إلى الرحمن وفدا. ونسوق المجرمين إلى جهنم وردا. لا يملكون الشفاعة إلا من اتخذ عند الرحمن عهدا. وقالوا اتخذ الرحمن ولدا. لقد جئتم شيئا إدا. تكاد السماوات يتفطرن منه وتنشق الأرض وتخر الجبال هدا. أن دعوا للرحمن ولدا. وما ينبغي للرحمن أن يتخذ ولدا. إن كل من في السماوات والأرض إلا آتي الرحمن عبدا. لقد أحصاهم وعدهم عدا. وكلهم آتيه يوم القيامة فردا. إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات سيجعل لهم الرحمن ودا. فإنما يسرناه بلسانك لتبشر به المتقين وتنذر به قوما لدا. وكم أهلكنا قبلهم من قرن هل تحس منهم من أحد أو تسمع لهم ركزا.
سلسبيل Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. And welcome to day 3 of the Global Digital Summit, the largest tech conference in Pakistan, which is being held virtually, organized by CXO Global Forum. What a 2 days have passed. A lot of interaction, networking, knowledge sharing, and learnings. Today, we shall begin the order of the day on day 3 of this largest IT and digital tech conference with the keynote speech by the chairman Nadra, Mr. Muhammad Tariq. The first order of the day, we shall move on to the keynote speech of Mr. Muhammad Tariq.
21 members of national and international business community, IT experts, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, good morning. I appreciate the efforts of CXO Global Forum for organizing this summit and creating a knowledge sharing platform on disruptive technologies, transformation, and innovation. It gives me great pleasure to be part of Global Digital Summit 2021 and reflect upon the theme rebooting digital Pakistan through digital IT. When I say rebooting digital Pakistan through digital IT, I mean that we want to foster a change in digital ecosystem that is anchored in digital IT. Digital Pakistan has many manifestations. For example, removing the digital divide or bridging the digital divide, providing connectivity, laying out fiber optic in major urban and suburban and rural areas. But I have been firm believer that breaking the status quo towards innovative and disruptive practices is an integral component of sustainable growth trajectory. What distinguishes our efforts of catalyzing digital change from previous regimes is connection with the citizen. We want to look at digital Pakistan through the eyes of the citizen. Hence, my aim is to strengthen social contract because ID card is an instrument that establishes the social contract between state and citizen. So, once again, my focus is not only developing but strengthening linkages with public and designing services with citizen-centric focus in our mind. I'm a firm believer, just like my friend Mariana Mazzucato, who says that the value, social value, is actually driven by the government. It's created by the government institution. You may see in a lot of countries, even if you use Apple phone, and the Siri is not owned by Apple phone. Siri was developed by the government institution. Intranet was developed by the government institutions. LASIK surgery, LASIK technology was developed by NASA, and so on and so forth. Night vision devices, Google's. These technologies actually were created and developed by the government institution, and then private sector actually scaled them up and extracted the value. So I want to see Nadra in that role. And hence, ladies and gentlemen, I will use my limited time here to highlight some of the efforts of Nadra as the technology arm of both the federal government and the private sector. So we are creating a value for federal government and the local provincial governments, and so that they can improve service delivery, and we are creating a value for the private sector by rolling out the apps and platform and democratizing this data driven digital technologies so that you can scale it up and young entrepreneurs can actually capitalize on those platforms and come up with their own products and services. You know why? Because for me, innovation is something not journal, rather specific. Investment in market creating innovation. It drives economic, social, and political well-being. Innovation, we always think innovation of being synonymous with invention. It is invention, but more of it is revamping the business processes and doing the same thing with the new way. It can be innovation as well. So look at Nadra. We started with paper ID, and now we have smart IDs. And tomorrow, in the future, we will go towards digital ID. And we are rolling out apps to address a specific function or problem, just like Park mobile app. But we are rolling out platforms for the private sector. Look at the new platform that 6 banks are experimenting. And this platform is based on an innovation that Nadra has introduced to the world. We became the first country in the world that takes biometrics by making use of mobile phone. You have to just take your fingerprints snapshot, and it verifies electronically through the citizen database. So, and this invention, was liked by the private sector. 6 banks, as I have told you, have jumped the bandwagon, and they want to utilize this service to roll out innovative banking, digital onboarding, microfinance services, credit card services, or loan services. Social protection program are talking to me. Insurance companies are talking to me, so on and so forth. So, and it will open a new era of digital transformation for private sectors. So we have taken a leapfrog towards digital Pakistan, where we are creating some platforms where the private sector can use that to roll out one person, one identity, one authentication sort of services. You don't, in 2012, when we launched Smart ID card technology, I found that it was one of the best ID cards in the world, because we were competing with Germans, Belgians, Denmark, South Korea, Estonia's ID card. And so it has like over, I think, 20 features, so that it was impossible to actually forge that card. So it is not a piece of plastic, but we were supposed to build an ecosystem of the services where we could help our entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, to roll out more products and services on that. So the private sector should look at this revolutionary services that we are introducing, and come up with more innovative services, because we are opening this social sector and the private sector to actually bank on our services. Identity authentication and credential verification performed by Nadra forms a key part of any kind of such digital governance initiatives. So we have actually helped SHAS programs, which was earlier Benazir Income Support Program in social protection regime. But more of that, Nadra is the backbone of inclusive economic growth through enhancing livelihoods and entrepreneurial activities. It serves as a gateway to numerous financial services and opportunities which benefit general public at all level, leaving no one behind. So NADRA has, for example, proudly partnered with State Bank of Pakistan and some banks, as I told you, so that they can do the eKYC and they can, utilize the digital onboarding platform for introduction of, for example, branchless banking, so on and so forth. So the biometric verification, may it be biometric verification, may it be the innovative APIs, may it be finding the tax evaders, or may it be introducing the transparency in business transaction, you will find NADRA as your partner in rolling out those services. Very fast and very robust. Similarly, we have introduced some other products and some products that we are planning that will come in 2022. As I told you, the digital ID platform that we are working on, making use of cryptocurrency model, so that we roll out a platform where businesses can be facilitated with fintech services, introduction of digital wallets. So today, keeping up with the pace of technological innovations, NADRA introduced another digital initiative through, as I told you, Pak ID mobile application. Using this application, all citizens, including those living abroad, will be able to digitally verify fingerprints, photographs using their smartphones. The app captures biometrics and scans document digitally by using the mobile phone camera. It's not only limited to the ID card services, but the young entrepreneurs can introduce new innovative services using that mobile app. So we look forward in working with the private sector. As I said, we are opening the doors for cooperation with the banking and financial system and markets. We have now integrated this application for biometric, not only biometric verification and eKYC, but we are democratizing this service so that it reaches out to the young entrepreneurs, and they can come up with the new services. Last but not the least, I would like to thank you once again, organizers of this conference, that you have put NADRA at the center stage as the government organization, autonomous organization, but working under government, to actually showcase our products that are driven by innovation and that are for private sector to scale up using our platform and come up with new services.
When we first started talking about doing this 10 years ago, we were a very small group of engineers who knew and truly believed that this was the next big thing in Pakistan, the next phase in the evolution of the digital journey of the country. There were times when we doubted our own dreams, laughed it off, closed the file, and went about business as usual. But it kept coming back and nagging us. It was like something pricking us at the back of our head. And I think that's when we knew that we really had to do this. 6 people, that's it. A crazy team of 6 people led by one of the most brilliant engineers I've ever had the privilege to meet and work with. From the start, we were like a family with a very collective hive mind. We kept pushing each other on, motivating each other because so many people around us told us it couldn't be done. But we kept pushing on because we knew that the finish line was close and we had to do this. When we built this, we were very clear on what we wanted to achieve. We wanted to bring simplicity to an otherwise complicated ecosystem. We wanted to build something the customers would immediately know how to use. And we wanted to give organizations the tools to grow their businesses, to think big, to strategize, and to leave the rest to us. But the key was always to build from the ground up, build it all ourselves, in-house, build our own data centers, build our own indigenous Pakistani cloud stack, and provide organizations with a safe, reliable, and local means to process information. Data is the new gold in the information age, and we wanted to keep it where it was safe in the hands of those who own it. We wanted to build a simple, easily replicable architecture that could be grown and managed by newer engineers. There was a point after which we never looked back. Our team grew, but so did our challenges. People left, but people came back because they truly missed the passion behind what we did. We lost some of our oldest and dearest family members. Those were hard times. It's very tough to be living the dream that they helped accomplish, but not be able to see them every morning where they used to sit. But we honor them and all those who've been with us on this milestone by never slowing down, never stopping to innovate, and never stopping to change how we redefine digital transformation. We were the first ISO, PCI DSS, and GDPR certified cloud in Pakistan. We look forward to becoming the first Pakistani cloud to soon set foot on international soil and finally put Pakistan on the map. The tools that we designed and the user experience that we envisioned was all around simplicity to provide as organic an experience as possible. We needed to be bold, and I believe we showed the courage at that time to take the more difficult path. The Rapid Compute family today consists of people who've been with us since inception. They've shared our vision and continue to drive us forward. Over the years, we've added newer, younger talent, and their thirst for finding out newer ways to do things, their curiosity is key to how we want to innovate at Rapid Compute. Our unique culture allows them to truly be themselves. Their independence and ownership is key to our growth and our survival. They've grown. They've experienced great disappointments, but they've also experienced greater triumphs, which is why we never say no to new ideas. We never shut anyone down when they come up with suggestions, even on a piece of paper. Fear of failing is the biggest impediment to innovation and creativity. We're okay with failing, but the key is to fail fast and learn fast. The learning that stems from it is priceless and is the difference between being a good organization and being a great one. We're still evolving. We're learning each day, and I really hope that the learning never stops. 10 years. It's taken us 10 years to be ready to take on the world, and we don't intend on slowing down anytime soon.
communicate at work is changing the world over. This change has been driven by shifts in the consumer world over the last decade. Facebook, Twitter, and WhatsApp have transformed personal communications from emails to quick, instant messages. Discussions happen on Facebook. We reach out and connect on WhatsApp and follow news on Twitter. Emails are now mostly used only for formal communications. What does this mean for your company communications? These same consumers are your employees, and they have already made the shift to quicker, more responsive modes of communication outside of work. Forcing them to communicate via email at work slows them down, decreases productivity, and gives the feeling that your company is still stuck in the Stone Age. Desperate for better tools, your employees are starting to use consumer applications at work, which are insecure, unproductive, and not meant for the workplace. For example, any images and files sent on WhatsApp get downloaded to their personal phone, and your enterprise has now lost control over them. Convo has taken the best communication methods and made a secure, work-only collaboration platform that works on all devices. We work with the entire spectrum of companies, from major retail brands who use Convo as the core employee engagement platform across their 15,000-strong U.S. workforce, to media and news organizations who use Convo to ensure timely delivery of all their breaking news. Convo is building a work collaboration tool that is truly the future for employee engagement, productivity, and your enterprise's digital transformation.
Technology is constantly evolving, making it challenging for banks to stay relevant, profitable, and create an impact. To make a difference, all banks need to make a choice to become digital to the core. With more than 20 years of commitment of providing transformational services to banks, NDC Tech is building banks of the future. We have more than 225 experts with certification, experience, and knowledge on Temenos products. A global winning track record. More than 75 success stories on Temenos platforms. Accelerators to meet local regulatory requirements. A proven track record of successful implementations in the Middle East, Africa, and Asia Pacific region. We specialize in providing digital transformations around the core and digital platforms, on-premise and in the cloud, with end-to-end managed services, training, bespoke developments, and migration to numerous banks and financial institutions running Temenos software and solutions. Choose us as your partner and become a bank of the future.
inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through eyes covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush. Alright, hush.
Set up benchmarks to achieve something. Yearly milestones, benchmark, target for yourself.
The importance of this program, one of the reasons is because we need to evolve, we need to change.
It has to be exactly the same speed and sequence. ठीक है? Same speed and sequence. Ready आप लोग? 1, 2, and 3.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Salman Bashir and currently I am serving as the CEO of ChaseUp Pakistan. I was born and brought up in Karachi and now alhamdulillah we have 9 branches all over Pakistan and it's growing. हमारे बिजनेस के अंदर क्योंकि ये रियल टाइम बिजनेस है और इस बिजनेस की स्पीड जो है दूसरे बिजनेस के मुकाबले में तेज़ है तो टेक्नोलॉजी इस बिजनेस के अंदर बहुत ही अहम रोल प्ले कर रही है और आइंदा भी करती रहेगी. एवैल्यूएशन मैकेनिज्म हमारा काफ़ी कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव था और काफ़ी डिटेल्ड था. चूज़ करने के लिए हमने एक थर्ड पार्टी अकाउंटिंग फर्म को जो है वो इंगेज किया था और उन्होंने हमारे लिए एक गैप एनालिसिस परफॉर्म किया था चेज़अप में और सारे हेड ऑफ डिपार्टमेंट से मिलके हमारे जो नीड एनालिसिस है वो भी परफॉर्म किया था और उस क्राइटेरिया के ऊपर तमाम सॉफ्टवेयर्स को लोकल और इम्पोर्टेड इवेल्यूएट किया और सबको अलग अलग स्कोरिंग मैकेनिज्म के तहत स्कोर्स दिए. रिटेल प्रो जो है वो उन स्कोरिंग सिस्टम में सबसे टॉप पे आया.
तो जो हमारी एक्सपेक्टेशन थी वो इस तरीके की सॉफ्टवेयर की थी कि जो एक सीमलेस सॉफ्टवेयर हो, इंटरनेशनल बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस पर हो. हमारा जो पुराना सॉफ्टवेयर था उससे जो हमारे गैप एनालिसिस निकले थे, जो गैप्स आइडेंटिफाई हुए थे उस सब को फिल करता हो, रिपोर्टिंग बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग हो, डैशबोर्ड्स हों, रेडीली अवेलेबल हों और जो हमारे दूसरे सॉफ्टवेयर्स हैं, वेबसाइट्स हैं, सबसे सीमलेस इंटीग्रेशन उसकी हो जाए.
मैं खुद भी रिटेल प्रो का सर्टिफाइड टेक्नीशियन हूँ तो उसको देखते हुए और हम एक हद तक यूज़र भी था ये रिटेल प्रो का काफ़ी साल पहले, तो मेरा अपना एक्सपीरियंस भी रिटेल प्रो में बहुत अच्छा रहा.
By the time we are growing, therefore we need a solution. हमें फीचर्स चाहिए थे, हमें एक ऐसा प्लेटफॉर्म चाहिए था, एक ऐसा फाउंडेशन चाहिए था जिस पे हम बिल्ड करके अपना रिटेल का सॉल्यूशन हम इस पे मज़ीद इंटरनेशनली और भी सॉल्यूशंस इसके ऊपर मैप कर सकें. और दूसरे जो सॉल्यूशंस हैं वो भी मार्केट में अवेलेबल हैं, बट जो हमारा एवेल्यूएशन एक पूरा क्राइटेरिया था उस क्राइटेरिया में रिटेल प्रो ने विन किया ड्यू टू इट्स एट्रीब्यूट्स, ड्यू टू इट्स स्ट्रेंथ एंड रोबस्ट जो सिस्टम है इनका, इसके लिए। और इनके जो फीचर्स हैं बेसिकली लाइक ऑफलाइन टिल हो गया, और सबसे बड़ी बात ये कि एक ऐसी फाउंडेशन है जिस पे हम रह के अपने रिटेल के सोल्यूशन के बिल्डिंग ब्लॉक्स कर सकते हैं।
The Pakistan industry is going through a major innovation and expansion. It was mandatory for us to make sure that we are compatible for it. With the new need, computing solutions was the first name which came to mind. And as they provided us with Retail Pro, it became the need of the time and the best solution for our business.
Retail Pro के साथ मेरी पिछली कंपनी में भी एक्सपीरियंस रहा एंड दैट वाज वंडरफुल। तो ये एक्सपीरियंस मुझे था और ये कॉन्फिडेंस मुझे रिटेल प्रो पे था। खैर, एक तो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ है कि जो हमारे कैश टिल्स के ऊपर जो लोग काम कर रहे होते हैं उनके लिए फ्रेंडली होना सॉफ्टवेयर का बहुत ज़रूरी है। सेकेंड थिंग, स्पीड का बहुत हाथ है इसके अंदर। और थर्ड थिंग इज़ कि जो बिजनेस की रिक्वायरमेंट है वो पूरी तरह पूरी कर रहा हो। फॉर एग्जांपल मैं एक छोटा सा पॉइंट बताऊंगा कि हम लोग जो लोगों के लिए पैकेजेस लगाते हैं अपनी चीज़ों पे, जो डिस्काउंट्स ऑफर करते हैं, जो ऑटो होना चाहिए, वो प्रीवियस सॉफ्टवेयर्स में नहीं अवेलेबल था। सो ये एक बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग पॉइंट था रिटेल प्रो का।
तो हमें सबसे बेहतर सोल्यूशन वो रिटेल प्रो का लगा था, क्योंकि ये एक यूज़र फ्रेंडली सॉफ्टवेयर था और इसके अंदर हमारी रिक्वायरमेंट्स मीट हो रही थी और वर्ल्ड बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस के साथ हम मीट कर रहे थे।
अभी तक तो हमें 1 साल हो गया है और अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह जो सारी चीज़ें थी वो स्टेज बाय स्टेजेस जैसे इम्प्लीमेंट हो रही हैं, जैसे डेटा गैदर हो रहा है तो वो सारी एक्सपेक्टेशंस मीट हो रही हैं। क्योंकि हम लोग सुपरमार्केट बिजनेस में हैं तो कुछ चीज़ें ऑपरेशनल लेवल के ऊपर थोड़ी प्रॉब्लम्स थी, थोड़ी हिकअप्स थे, लेकिन वो एक ट्रेनिंग के थ्रू और कस्टमर जो हमारे थे उनको थोड़ा सा एजुकेट करने के थ्रू वो चीज़ें स्ट्रीमलाइन हो गई और अब हमें कोई भी प्रॉब्लम नहीं।
मैंने अपने कैरियर में ऐसी प्रोफेशनल टीम नहीं रखी एज अ कंप्यूटिंग सोल्यूशन, एज अ 24/7 सपोर्ट। इन्होंने हमें कभी भी ऐसा नहीं हुआ कि हम लेट डाउन हुए। एप्लीकेशन की साइड पे, डेटाबेस की साइड पे मैंने कंप्यूटिंग सॉल्यूशंस को हमेशा ऑन टोज पाया। हर बिज़नेस को ज़रूरत है इस चीज़ की कि उसके पास एक अच्छा टेक डिपार्टमेंट हो, एक अच्छी टेक्नोलॉजी उसने अडॉप्ट की भी हो। तो यस, उसके बगैर आप किसी बिज़नेस को तसव्वुर भी नहीं कर सकते।
रिटेल प्रो में हमें बहुत सारी चीज़ें नई मिली हैं और ये यूज़र फ्रेंडली है, कैशियर्स के लिए आसान है इस्तेमाल करना, और इसमें जो रिकॉन्सिलेशन है कैशियर की वो भी बहुत ईजी और सिंपल है। हमें बहुत सी रिपोर्टें हम इस पर जनरेट करते हैं जो कि हमें हमारी पूरे सेटअप को क्लोजिंग करने के लिए या सारा सिस्टम जो है हमें उसको एनालिसिस करने के लिए हम लोग इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं।
इसकी स्पीड बहुत अच्छी है, इसकी अट्रैक्टिव लुक है, इसमें बहुत सी ज़्यादा फंक्शन है, इसकी क्लोजिंग ईजी है।
जो रिटेल प्रो का सबसे ज़्यादा हमें बेनिफिट मिला वो बेनिफिट ये था कि अगर कभी भी मेरे पास मेरा नेटवर्क डाउन हो रहा है तो एज अ IT पर्सन मुझे उसमें कोई भी दिक्कत पेश नहीं आ रही। मेरा ऑपरेशन उसमें कोई भी मसला नहीं आ रहा। मेरा ऑपरेशन स्मूथली चलता रहता है क्योंकि मेरा रिटेल प्रो हर कैश काउंटर के ऊपर ऑफलाइन चल रहा होता है।
और मुझे जो सी रिटेल प्रो में सबसे अच्छी चीज़ लगी अब कि ये सिक्योरिटी बहुत ज़्यादा प्रोवाइड कर रहा है। हमारा कैशियर के बाद राइट्स जितने काम होने चाहिए सिक्योरिटी मामलात के ऊपर, उसके बाद उतने मिनिमम राइट्स हैं। उस कैशियर का काम होना चाहिए वो सिर्फ बिल करे, चीज़ को स्कैन करे और आगे चले जाए।
बेसिकली चेंज मैनेजमेंट किसी भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के लिए एक बड़ा चैलेंज रहा है, चाहे वो किसी भी हवाले से चेंज हो, क्योंकि जहाँ ह्यूमन इन्वॉल्व होते हैं वहाँ चेंज की रेजिस्टेंस ज़रूर आती है। आप किसी भी सिस्टम को, हम बेसिकली IT टेक्नोलॉजी में जब भी कोई सिस्टम चेंज करें, एप्लीकेशन चेंज करें तो यस ये हमारे लिए एक बड़ा चैलेंज होता है और उसको ओवरकम हम बेसिकली ट्रेनिंग से करते हैं। हम मुस्तकिल अवेयरनेस सेशंस क्रिएट करते हैं, ट्रेनिंग्स देते हैं, लोगों को समझाते हैं। सम टाइम पॉलिसीज़ इन प्लेस करनी पड़ती हैं और उसके बाद ही किसी सिस्टम की सक्सेसफुलनेस की गारंटी ली जा सकती है। बेसिकली किसी भी HOD के लिए बहुत ज़रूरी होता है कि वो अपनी टीम को मोटिवेटेड रखे किसी भी प्रोजेक्ट के लिए। तो उसमें ज़रूरी होता है कि आप एज अ HOD, एज अ लीडर, आप अपनी टीम के साथ लाइजन हों। अगर आप अपनी टीम के साथ लाइजन नहीं है तो लोग मोटिवेटेड नहीं रहते और किसी भी प्रोजेक्ट का फेलियर का एक बहुत बड़ी वजह बन सकती है।
एज़ यू नो कि जब भी हम सॉफ्टवेयर को इम्प्लीमेंट करते हैं तो सबसे बड़ा जो मसला आता है हमारे पास, जो सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज आता है वो आता है चेंज मैनेजमेंट का। लेकिन इसके अंदर जो हमारी रिटेल प्रो की टीम थी, इसके अंदर जिसने हमें साथ दिया था वो ये था कि उसकी जो SOPs थी, उनके जो ट्रेनिंग सेशंस थे वो बहुत ज़्यादा स्ट्रॉन्ग थे, वो बहुत ज़्यादा यूज़र फ्रेंडली थे।
जब ये हमने लॉन्च किया, हमें इश्यूज आते हैं जब आप सॉफ्टवेयर मूव करते हो, बट बड़ी अच्छी चीज़ ये हमें मिली कि जो हमारा स्टाफ था उसकी तरफ से फीडबैक बहुत ज़बरदस्त आया। वही चीज़, जिन चीज़ों पे मुझे कॉन्फिडेंस था, वही चीज़ें जब नीचे गईं तो वो उनके लिए उसको अडॉप्ट करना बहुत आसान हो गया।
Speed and stability are both of critical importance when it comes to grocery and supermarket retail. Imagine yourself in a grocery store queue at 8 p.m. on the first weekend of the month, waiting to check out. And you'll understand what I mean. Chase Up is a supermarket chain that serves a large customer base across the country through their 9 mega stores. Their merchandise includes grocery, fresh fruit and vegetables, fresh meat, apparel, cosmetics, and FMCG goods. They are known for their competitive pricing and attractive promotions. Computing Solutions Pakistan, an award-winning partner of Retail Pro International, serves Retail Pro installations globally. And the same global team ensured a smooth rollout of 200 points of sale across 9 mega stores, ahead of schedule. Moreover, I took it upon myself to ensure that our team strikes a good synergy with the Chase Up team. And we are very honored that Chase Up chose to partner with us and selected Retail Pro Prism for its future growth.
Thanks to Retail Pro and Well Done Computing Solutions.
Thank you Retail Pro and Well Done Computing Solutions.
Thanks to Retail Pro. I am happy कि ये लोग हमारे साथ काम कर रहे हैं. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks to Retail Pro, Well Done Computing Solutions. All the best.
So you're live.
Assalamualaikum. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you fine. You may begin.
Perfect. So first of all, Assalamualaikum everyone. My name is Yasir Ilyas. I head Hisab Kitab. Hisab Kitab is a fintech focused on financial management. And we do have certain products that we have been, trying to promote within Pakistan and abroad. So we have a personal financial management solution. We have a solution for the SME segment, which is an integrated ERP solution. And also we have a solution for the MSME segment, which is called Hisab Kitab Karobar. So basically, I would like to begin by sharing as to who we are and what have we achieved so far, or where are we heading towards. So as Hisab Kitab, we basically became a company, an independent company in 2019, July of 2019. Before that, we are part of Jaffa Group, which has a legacy of 40 years in the field of IT. We deal with every different domains of IT, which is financial solutions, big data, network optimization, enterprise solutions, and self-service banking. But as Hisab Kitab, which is an independent company, as I shared with you, our focus has been on financial management. So when I say financial management, it means the financial management of the consumer and then of the businesses. So for the consumer side, we have had good traction globally. We have a consumer app which has been downloaded in 160 plus countries. And this app, by 650,000 plus users, and they have clocked in around like 12 million plus transactions. So this consumer app is a free app available for anyone to download from the Play Store or Google Play or Apple Play Store. So anyone can download this app and use it. The main purpose why we had the consumer app was for users to provide us their feedback on the user experience and the user interface that we were designing for our consumers, and learn from them and basically translate that into a white label solution. After around like 2 years of learning experience that we had with the consumer base, we basically converted this consumer app into a white label solution. And then we started targeting the banks. Luckily, the first bank that we signed up with for a PFM solution was HBL, which is the largest retail bank in Pakistan, followed by Bank Al Habib, Bank of Punjab, and there are some other banks which are we are in advanced discussions with them and final stages of agreeing to work together, which basically makes us the #1 PFM in Pakistan. And our focus has always been to exploit the global market. So a little bit about myself. Basically, I started my career with IBM in New York. I worked for IBM for 5 years. Worked for Ernst & Young for 3 years again in New York, and then I moved to KPMG in the Middle East. Worked for KPMG for 5 years. Had my own venture with 3 Saudi guys for 3 years in Saudi Arabia. And then I moved to IKEA. I was working for IKEA as a country consumer navigation manager for both Saudi Arabia and Bahrain. So Hisab Kitab is something which inspired me a lot, and which inspired me enough to basically leave my, the financial well-being that I was enjoying abroad in a senior role, and come back to Pakistan and try to do something, to bring the Pakistani product to the global map. So one of the things I always say is that if you look at the Pakistani products that have gone global, you can name Shaan as one of the best example. Wherever you go, I've lived half of my life in US, then the other half in Middle East, and I moved to Pakistan in 2019. If you look at Shaan as a product, so anywhere, even if you go in the upstate New York, you will see that Shaan, Shaan Masala is there, on the shelves of Walmart and other, they are on the shelves of Walmart and all the retail stores. So now, that truly gives me a sense of, a global product. So now, when we see any other product as Pakistan, we don't see any product which is the same way as Shaan Masala. So my inspiration was to come back to Pakistan and basically contribute to taking a product global. Can you hold on a second, please? I think Yusuf, can you just close the door? Sorry, there was someone in the room, so I had to say that. So when you look at the product, any product that is that has gone global is truly from Pakistan, is truly Shaan. So my inspiration was to come back to Pakistan and contribute to taking a product global. So once I moved back to Pakistan, it was for Hisab Kitab because locally in Pakistan, as a professional, I knew Waqar Islam, who's the founder of Hisab Kitab, and he has been inspiring me a lot when I was living abroad. So I had the discussion with him, came back to Pakistan. To make a long story short, a main vision was to develop a product, create success within Pakistan, and take the product abroad. So now, in line with our vision, so as I shared that we have already secured our contracts with 3 banks, leading banks in Pakistan, and we have a few more that we are in advanced stages of discussion. So we also started an effort for taking the products global. So when I'm talking about products global, so our main focus was Middle East and Africa. So in the Middle East and Africa, I'm happy to share that we have a channel partner network of around 15 channel partners who basically are system integrators and individuals and leading technology companies within their countries, and they are promoting Hisab-Kitab to the banks in their respective countries. Now, the very important question that I would like to state and share with the audience is, why is there a need of PFM? So when we started this journey, it was almost like when we were sitting with any bank in Pakistan or abroad. So we were kind of like educating them on the need of PFM. And most of the banks perceive PFM as a good to have solution, but not as a must have solution. So now when I think of, PFM and I think of the digital banking, now I see there's a complete shift that no digital banking solution, is considered complete without a PFM. So this is not it is not one of those things that if you go back in time, you would realize that there were banks who were, trying to get the mobile application just for the sake of having mobile application. But now, the reason why banks are so keen on having PFM is because it's an inflection point for the banks. So, those banks, irrespective of the size of the banks, that invest in the right technology, invest in the right focus, which is, if the banks are going toward hyper-personalization, that is the right focus. And if they don't do that, then, it is, those banks are going to lose, whereas those banks who invest in the right technology and the right focus, these banks will win. So I'll ask audience this question that, when was the last time you visited a bank? And normally when I ask this question, the response I get is very rare. So, people have, stopped going to the branches unless there's a need for signing a check or, getting something, a printout stamped. Other than that, they rely on the digital media, which is their mobile application mainly. So, because this mobile application gives you, so many opportunities to know your customers, the bank realized that now this is the time when they need to know their customers better. And they have acknowledged that the banks have incomplete knowledge about their customers. So because of the incomplete knowledge, the banks are not able to target their customers with the relevant products and services, and hence they have a smaller wallet share. Whereas if you look at on the customer side, the customer basically, there's a research which was done, and it was done by the Forrester Research, and they asked how many. They asked the audience to vote for the various products and they would like to see in the mobile application. The majority of 43% of the audience said that they want to enroll a new bill pay in the mobile application. 52% said that they want to pay another person through the mobile application, and there were different other features. But overwhelming majority of these users basically said that they want to view all finances in one place. And that was around 75% of them. And why they are saying it, because when we did some surveys with the users want to see, all their finances in one place because they don't know where the money went. And this is something which is alarming, that majority of the users feel that, they would like to be in control of their finances and their money. They don't have one place for all finances, which means that they don't know. So, for example, they might have, they might have lended money to someone. They might have a bank account where there's money lying. So as businesses, we cannot operate unless we are in control of our finances. Similarly, an individual cannot succeed financially unless they have access to all their finances in one place. And for this reason, they feel very disconnected with the banks, because banks keep targeting them with irrelevant offers, because the banks don't realize that, there's a life outside the bank account also of the customer. So when we basically, say this, so assume a bank that basically thinks of net worth of their customers, right? So if I look at the branches of the banks, even so, their branch managers and their sales team, relationship managers, they're given a KPI of mostly a deposit, and the other major KPI is the lending, right? So banks, the branch managers mainly focus on the deposits, and the way they do it is that they target the high net worth customers which they have in their pool, whereas they completely ignore the mid net worth and the low net worth customers. So for the mid net worth customers and the low net worth customer, these are the customers who you can target with your products and for lending, right? So imagine a bank that assumes the net worth of a customer to be, say, like 150,000 rupees, right? And this is based on what kind of information the bank has about this customer in their bank account, right? So this basically, if we get into the laws of averages, so it is assumed, or it is a fact, in fact, that most of the people in Pakistan, they have on average have around 3 bank accounts. So for bank to assume that this user's net worth is 150,000 rupees is a wrong assumption. And the reason is that this user have money in other bank account. This user must have invested somewhere else as well. This user must have money sitting in the form of cash, right? So, recalibration of the net worth is something that the banks need to focus on. So if I summarize this whole discussion, basically the banks with the limitations or the confines of their own data, we say that they have a 240-degree view of their customer. So when we say 240-degree view of their customer, it means that the bank, the bank view is dependent on whatever banks knows about this customer within the bank, which means, for example, the banks might be able to say the user, they know the user profile of the customer, for example, their name, their contact number, their email address, their age and gender, if they're capturing it, the education and occupation, again, if they're capturing it, city and the residence, area of residence where they live, and the life cycle stage, again, if they're capturing this information, right? The other things that the banks can claim to have is that they basically know about the bank, the kind of accounts this customer have opened at the bank. The card types that the bank has issued to the customer, what kind of spending the user is doing based on the card. But majority of the banks that I've met, they don't have the MCC code mapping, so they don't know where basically which category the user is spending a lot on, and the monthly income if the account is the income account. So this was the 240-degree view, right? But whereas as Hisab Kitab, what we say is that we provide the user a 360-degree view of their finances, meaning that we provide the banks a 360-degree view of the users, right? How we do that is by adding a lot more layers of data that the banks doesn't have currently. For example, we'll let the banks have a view about all bank accounts that the users have, and the card-based spending that the user is doing by category mapped to the category, right? Monthly income from all sources, not just the monthly income that is, if it is an income account that's falling within the bank's account. All investments, that the users have done in different places. Monthly budget, what kind of budget the user is creating and how the user is trying to stay within the budget, or how the user is performing against the budget. What are the saving aspirations or goals of the users, and how, what is the actual net worth of this user, and the major upcoming events of the user and other interests and preferences. Now, everything that we help the bank know is, we call it the context. So once the banks know about the context, these contexts, provides banks an opportunity to see the qualified leads that get generated by these usage. I'll give you an example, a use case. So for example, if,
sorry to interrupt you, sir. You have 1 minute remaining. So the other panel.
Sure, no problem.
Can you wrap up this?
So in summary, I'll summarize the whole thing. So I'll just give 2 use cases that will define how effectively banks can increase their ETP and NTP portfolios and the return on investment that they've made in other systems. So once you have, this kind of data insights about your customer's context, then you can target the customer in a much more targeted way. I'll give you 2 use cases to basically summarize my discussion. So one is, if imagine a customer who basically has been using your PFM in your bank's mobile application and has been recording, say, expenses in medical expenses, right, in the category of medical expenses. So our solution is built with the AI and ML in it. So the moment it sees that someone is recording, say, like medical expenses for the past 3 months, automatically our solution will ask this user to create a budget, because it will say that you have been spending a lot in this category. And will basically ask the user to create a budget for the medical expenses. The moment user clicks on the creating the budget for the medical expenses, this user have notified the bank that I will be spending on medical expenses in the coming months as well. So this automatically, this user, the moment he or she have clicked, create budget for this, now is flagged as a qualified lead for medical insurance. So now the branch manager, the relationship manager will be tasked with these kind of qualified leads and will be asked to convert them into customers, or to convert them in buying the product. And it will be given, a score of 98, 99%. That will be acceptable score, because we are giving now the qualified leads to you, right? Similarly, we don't say that, right now, if you look at the way we are promoting, say, home financing, home financing is promoted based on, 10% interest rate or 8% interest rate. With Hisab Kitab as part of your banking solution, you will turn the opportunity expense into an opportunity. For example, if someone is spending, say, 90,000 rupees on rent, and say, like, they have created a saving goal of 40,000 rupees for house building. So what you can do is that you can reach out to this customer and say, if rather than you spend, spend 90,000 on rent, which is something you're throwing out of the window, we will help you save 130,000 rupees rather than the 40,000 that you intended to save for house building loan. So our mortgage will be around 130,000 rupees. And, so you have converted that expense, which was going in the rent, and you converted that as you basically flag this user as a qualified lead for selling the house financing. And in a very targeted way, the amount that a person has expressed that the person can afford. So in
Great
nutshell,
insight, Yasir. We are running out of time. There is another panel. It was very, very insightful. If there is just one last thing that you would like to add before we close this session.
No, I think it was a high level overview that I wanted to give. There are basically, we do have things related to, say, NTB portfolio as well, which is the new to bank. So as a summary, last statement that I would like to give is that, banks have KPIs, and these KPIs are related to your basically, say, ETB portfolios, your NTB portfolios, and our solution is designed in a way that it will help you increase transaction with the customers, increase deposit, create an NTB list of users around your current existing users, will help you hyper personalize, will help you manage the ATB portfolio, help you upsell and cross-sell through the qualified opportunities, and will help you the banks achieve the higher engagements with the bank's digital channels. In nutshell, knowing your customer is what we focus on, and if you know your customer better, then you'll be able to work with the customer better and become the bank of choice.
Thank you very much, Yasir. Thank you very much for your time. It was a very insightful session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Now we move on to our next panel. One of the great learnings from Hisab Kitab for the viewers as well as for us is that it's not just a financial platform to manage your finances. It also helps in creating a 360 and opening up the API and the banking solutions for creating consumer profiles and then connecting them to their needs, which are not just limited to financial requirements. We shall now move on to our next panel discussion, which is going to be even more insightful on the technological capacity building. The session is going to be moderated by the CIO of Indus, Shah Abdullah, Raza, and the panelists are Umar Khalid, the Chief Operating Officer of Tasdeeq, and Ibrahim Tawana, the Head of Tech at Falcon Eye. So over to Shah Abdullah and the panelists.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum ji.
Welcome, Umar. How are you? Welcome.
All well, ji. Thank you.
Walaikum assalam. Assalamu alaikum. Hi, Brian. Okay, so thank you for joining us once again for another exciting session. And as we know, that the session is all about building, or rather knowing what is technology capacity building. So before I proceed further, I think it's better that if we start like this. There was a guy, he's a poet, he's Rabindranath Tagore, and according to him, he says like everything comes to us that belongs to us, and if we create the capacity to receive it. So from this saying, I would start the session, and to quickly introduce the honorable panel members. I have Mr. Umar Khalid, who's the Chief Operating Officer from Tasdeeq, Pakistan, and then we have Mr. Ibrahim Tawana, who is Head of Innovations in Tech of Falcon Eye. So thank you for joining us once again, and thank you CXO Global for giving us this session, this platform as a global digital summit. So I'll start without wasting any further time.
Abdullah, sorry to interrupt you. Someone is streaming the show live. So I would request the panelists to stop the streaming so that people can hear you fine. Thank you.
Okay. So we should stop the video?
No. If you are streaming it live, then it is requested to put down the streaming
on another device.
Okay.
On any other device, or yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So sorry for the inconvenience. So coming back to the discussion. So the discussion is, as we know, it's about technical capacity building, which includes a lot of traditional and traditional and conventional ways, which includes training programs, train the trainers, and there are some experiential learning as well. And in this specific session, I mean, tech capacity building, how it works, how it improves the way of working for an organizational perspective, how it helps us accomplishing the mission and getting to the vision and achieving the right perspective of what we actually look forward to as in goals for organizational goals and growth and development. So we have the people from both business side as well as the tech and innovation. So I'll hand over to Umar Saab. And Umar, my first question, rather a point to start discussion would be, why tech capacities building is needed, and what's the need of it actually?
No, Abdullah, the world is changing now. We are moving away from conventional way of running organizations to extremely technology dependent organizations, and this technology is now just being entrenched into every part of our life. So it is imperative that, I mean, if we look at our personal lives, then without a cell phone, which was around 15, 20 years back, it was unheard of. Without a cell phone, our lives are now immaterial. Everything is dependent on cell phone, on social media, and a lot of other things. In a similar manner, the technology, innovation, and capability is entrenching into organizations, and organizations which adapt themselves to getting this technology, absorbing this technology into their systems and processes are the companies which are growing, which are innovating, which are being very competitive in the market, and they are leaving the conventional players behind. So technology capacity building becomes a very important part of an organization, to look at it in a very comprehensive and in a enhanced manner, and see how it can be utilized to both on the managerial side and on the organizational side, and to see how it can be used to do product innovation, to do process innovation, and to and to bring growth into the organization.
Fairly well, so very nice points, and that's right. I mean, as you rightly said, it's a changing world, and to support your argument, as we can see, Ibrahim Tiwana is heading innovation in tech, which itself says it all. I mean, the company have to have these specific positions. So Ibrahim Saab, if I'd move on to you with the same question, and then I will also request you to also elaborate on what are the fundamentals, the factors impacting the capacity building, or rather what are the fundamental considerations that we should always keep in the view while looking at it.
Okay, thank you, Abdullah, for the question. And, I would start by saying that this topic is actually very, very close to my heart, mostly because of the painful experience. I mean, we all have is for us now. And, as we all keep on saying, I mean, the startup industry is booming in Pakistan, but it's quite evident that pretty soon we'll be out of fuel to, run that or support or sustain that growth that we've been able to achieve in the last 3 to 6 months and maybe over the last couple of years. In all honesty, I think we all know how important this is to our own experiences as organizations who look to recruit talented people. But I think there's a lack of quantification. The problem is not quantified at a lot of levels. We cannot pinpoint the areas that we really need to, develop. There's a big gap between the academics and the industry. I'm someone who's, closely associated with the academy in Pakistan, and I'm currently undergoing my PhD program. And I can tell you this, that even in my PhD interview, I could, one of the problems that I said that I do want to solve is the gap between the industry and the academics, because quite frankly, whatever the engineers that we're producing right now are not, are not equipped, are not given the right tools to, achieve that level of success in a short period of time. So I think the problem needs to be quantified. Some very high level of thinkers need to really, put their minds behind this, and we need to have a very, transparent bird's eye view of what's really required. And I think there should be, one good thing that I feel that has come out of this entire episode of shortage of tech resources is that most organizations now have started investing heavily in learning and development programs. I mean, you hear about Temple's University, you hear about Gadi Tech University, you hear, they've got very, very detailed, exhaustive learning and development programs, but I think that also only solves part of the problem.
So maybe sir, sorry to cut you in the middle, and rather ask you a question very relevant. Do you think these means of education and academy and learning that you already mentioned, do you think are these available for vast and the masses, the people looking for it?
Absolutely. See, no, you have to have certain, network reach to be able to, have access to these trainings. The solution to this is, I think there could be independent startups or maybe some government initiatives solving this demand and supply problem. And I think maybe there should be some government level boot camps for fresh engineers to, equip them. And, again, the industry and the academia needs to, and the government needs to collaborate to be able to equip those engineers. Because I think once we quantify this, we'll know that we are way behind the curve on this. We are clearly short. Any single engineer that resigns from my company, helps me lose some sleep at night. Because the replacement is going to be at least 2x more expensive, and then finding the right fit for your organization, then a cultural fit also becomes a problem. So we can talk about artificial intelligence, we can talk about robotics, we can talk about how computer vision is going to change the world, and what we can do with blockchain. But at the same time, a disciplined delivery approach is also very important, because if you don't have a disciplined mechanism or capacity to deliver on those outcomes, I mean, it is very difficult to sustain that. And we don't have that. So I feel that is a key area. This topic is very, very important, requires focus from all levels, and the industry should come together, help solve this problem before it becomes unsolvable.
Yeah. So very, very nice input. And Umar Saab, and with reference to as Ibrahim Saab said, I mean, we have gaps, and so if I put it in a nutshell, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tivana Saab, that there's one thing that we have to have, which is a team. I mean, group of capable individuals, and then investment on them. I mean, to build them and upscale them and skilling their capabilities up. So, so what is your experience, and what do you say? How would it help in strengthening the overall ecosystem and getting us future ready?
Just to confirm, sorry, I was just a confirmation. Was the question directed to me or?
No, Umar, I was asking Umar Saab, but you can also spit in your.
No, Umar Saab, please go ahead. Sorry for the confusion.
From the perspective of human resource, this is a very important point which Tivana Saab has made. I mean, as a company, we are a state bank licensed credit bureau. We deal with artificial intelligence and machine learning in providing credit reports for people. Now, what we do is we train a lot of people, and first finding a right resource becomes very difficult for us because availability of such resources in Pakistan is scarce. And then once you acquire somebody who has the organizational fit or the cultural fit or the technological fit, then after training, there are a lot of other companies which poach these resources, and then they go for a slightly to some other companies. So retention for these customers, for these employees becomes very, retention of these employees becomes very difficult. But in technology capacity enhancement or capacity building is not just human resource. We need to look at the right kind of technology, what kind of technology is required by the company, and how will that technology fit into it. Once we identify that, then how does the company absorb it? Is there a culture of using that technology? I work for real estate companies where there's no technology. They are doing well, and there's there's no process or no will to even get technology into that company.
On board, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then moving forward, how does that, once we have absorbed it, once we have acquired it, how do you get that technology to move the company forward? Because somebody has to use it. And then how do you evolve that technology so that as future comes in, then the company adapts itself to that technology? So it's not just acquisition, human resource management, or getting the right resources. There are a lot of steps to it which needs to be looked at by the company to when they are doing technology capacity building.
Right. So Tivana Saab, do you also have to?
I absolutely agree. I mean, there should be an enablement mindset at the core of everything. I mean, I've seen some projects in my limited number of years in the industry where the focus is not actually solving problems with technology, but the use of technology itself. I mean, that is never, something that will create value or generate value for any stakeholder. I mean, technology, if it's not used for enablement, I mean, there can be certain problems that can be, if I speak particularly about machine learning engineers, the ones that I've worked with, I mean, I've always seen a fascination of using more complex algorithms and more advanced techniques and more fancy things. But oftentimes, I mean, you can solve very big problems with simpler techniques. I mean, the idea should always be to solve problems and having an enablement mindset, and that is the only way you can have the right technology strategy in place. And I completely agree with Umar Saab that human resource is one critical factor, but the overall if we can say in the word of CMMI, the capability and maturity of the organization
willingness to accept and adapt, yes,
to adapt and to have the process in place to support change management throughout the organization, to be able to with every level, with every year they should be able to grow. So that is something also very crucial to technology capacity building. Many organizations don't upgrade their stacks, I mean, for years and years, and they only understand that after the company experiences a near-death experience. They go, if there's a major outage or if there's a major security breach, that is when they realize, oh, we haven't really worked on our technology stack for a while now.
But then they say that we haven't still missed the boat, so let's do something and come back. So
this
maybe
is an opportunity.
Yeah. So maybe there's a requirement to develop some enhancement, some awareness about like so far what we have been doing is organizational change management. So, but we should take this digital transformation and this overall readiness as part of our change management, all which would impact the organization. So maybe there's a gap and there's a need, if not gap, to create more awareness and pass on the how it can help them further. So taking it further, Umar Saab, how do you see what are the things, as we have things we have discussed a lot of gaps, what are the things with the available resources, how we can take this up from now and how we can start building it up? And maybe do you also think, I personally think collaboration could be and would be and rather is the key to move ahead in this specific and fast moving world, where Tivana Saab rightly said that we are far behind where the rest of the world is. So what do you see are the best practices we can adapt right now and take it further?
To be very specific, now the first step for technology capacity building is the availability of right resources. Now, the companies like ours in the private sector or in the government sector must work with universities in terms of developing the right kind of courses and the requirements. And once we start working with them, and the universities prefer to work with companies like us, because then their graduates, they become they're easily absorbed within the industry. So and this is not happening right now. So we need to work with the right institutions, educational institutions, so that the right courses are developed and the right resources are available. Then the companies, within the company itself, there must, the process starts from the top. There has to be a right vision so that the right kind of technology gets adapted and is integrated into the organization. And then there's the whole process of how it is adapted, how that needs to be followed so that it is absorbed and then it is used and the company benefits from this all.
All right, thank you. Yeah, Tivana Saab, your input on this. I mean, this is, what so far we have discussed. What do you think is the way forward to adopt, and what are the possible ways we can take it further with some positive outcome as well?
So I'm sorry, there was an interruption. Can you please repeat the question?
Yeah, I was just asking, as Umar Saab rightly said and mentioned the relevant points to be taken as in, which is one, I said collaboration, and there are other ways. So Umar Saab also highlighted on few points, how to take this process further with the available resources that we have right now.
I cannot agree more. I think I'm very lucky to be in this panel with both you and Umar Saab, because I think, see, the exact solution may be progressively elaborated, but the first step is collaboration. I mean, the industry and the academics have to come together, which requires first acceptance at the academic end that yes, that the engineers that we are producing need training, because they get very defensive if you try to have a direct conversation on the quality of engineers being produced. So collaboration, and government needs to step in. Like I said, there's no regularization. We don't know how many ML engineers are there in Pakistan. There's no quantification of that. We don't know how many software architects are we producing or do we have in Pakistan, and how many startups can we support. And what this is doing is, this is creating an imbalance in the ecosystem and to, you know, rightly balance everything. I think this is absolutely critical. Collaboration is the key. You need to have proper programs designed specifically to help engineers, you know, get successful in the industry. I think that is critical.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much for your input. And before we just conclude, just one question to both of you. Excuse me. Okay, so far we have discussed what from organizational perspective, from academic side, what are the gaps and how we can address those. And if we look at the facts, there are certain things which are being worked out as well. And surely it doesn't happen overnight, but we look forward and very positively keeping fingers crossed that it would happen. But now, just lastly, what on the individual side, both of you being experienced and mashallah successful individuals, what do you suggest as we all listen from our childhood, where there's a way, there's a will? So, and anything to for the individuals and people who are willing to gear up and looking for new things to pick up and adopt new practices.
Okay.
And rather, scale up themselves.
Okay. I mean, the companies, or we must, as mentors or within the companies, to our young employees, everything, we must guide them that without technology, their growth or the future within the industry or within the company will not progress as good as without technology. Now, how people look at technology and how people have the acumen to acquire technology or adapt themselves, it's a very individual thing. So all companies can do is they can push, they can train, they can emphasize the importance of what technology can do to their personal lives and to their professional lives. And then it is the individual's responsibility or his capability on how he adapts to this new technology. And what I tell youngsters these days is that without technology, now life is not going to move forward. I mean, we have seen how much technologies has entrenched itself into our daily lives because of COVID and everything else. Nobody could have imagined a webinar happening 2 years back, or a call or a meeting happening on a video call. They were very there were no systems like Zoom or Teams or available on our system. They were very cumbersome, enhanced, big video conferencing systems which we had to. So technology is becoming a part of our lives, and everybody must be trained and be told the importance of it in terms of their professional and personal growth.
Thank you, sir. I want to have your input, sir. And from the individual perspective.
Yes, so I completely agree with Umar Saab, and see the first and foremost is, for what I feel, is that it is very important for me to keep, to lead by example and keep upgrading my skill set, because, technology is moving really fast, and to keep up, I mean, if I want to instill a culture where everyone, is looking to learn new skills and looking to change, I have to, first be, the embodiment of that person who does that. So the first and foremost, I feel that pushing yourself as mentors and leaders to keep acquiring new knowledge and keep relearning all old concepts is a very important step. And secondly, see, when you've got certain privilege, you've been able to, you've been lucky and you've gotten to a certain stage in your career, I feel that every conversation that you have with any individual member of your team or outside of the organization has an impact. So at grassroots levels, what we can really do is that we keep instilling this positive learning culture, and we keep telling them to have an enablement mindset. Now, I'll give you a very brief example. At Falcon is a telematics company, but we don't look at fleet management as an independent function. We look at fleet management as, how we look at fleet management with respect to the value it creates for the enterprise and how fleet management contributes to the growth of that organization. This changes the perspective of how you look at technology. Learning technology is one thing, learning all the jargon is very important. You need to have the right vocabulary when you're speaking to your engineers, but you also really need to have that mindset where you instill in them that you have to solve actual real world problems. There are a lot of jobs to be done. I mean, all the Ubers of Pakistan, all the wallets in Pakistan, Tasdeeq themselves, a financial startup, a fintech startup, all of these are actually solving very innovative problems. And so these are all technology companies, but no one is really interested in what is the stack being used. Everyone is really following the problem that is being solved. So every little conversation helps and should help the crowd really in a particular direction. But one last point, I think as people who have some responsibility in the industry, I think a well-defined performance review mechanism or a technology capacity review mechanism is also very important. I mean,
absolutely.
I think companies where they give away, I think whether they're not focused enough is where they talk about the right things. They might have a good technology delivery approach, but at the end of the day, how they review the delivery mechanism, how they decide on what parameters and what factors they take into account when they say, okay, our performance in terms of technology capacity building has been good over the last year. So that is one area I feel that has to be standardized, very well defined and very thoroughly tailored based on your organization, but should be representative, should be the true representative of what you've been able to achieve in this area as an enterprise. So I think that is also one of the key factors.
Excellent. It was actually very enlightening and to myself as well, being and hosting people like Umar Saab and yourself, Ivana Saab, who are leading the businesses with perspective and utilizing the technology to get the right benefits. So, thank you so much once again, and thank you CXO Global for holding this digital summit. Stay tuned for more enlightening and more informative sessions. Thank you so much. Signing out of this session.
Yeah, thank you, Abdullah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the panelists. Very, very insightful discussion on technological capacity building. I thank the panelists on behalf of CXO Global Forum and the Digital Summit. To the viewers, ladies and gentlemen, we shall now break off for a namaz and lunch break. We shall connect again at 2 p.m. Please stay tuned. Thank you.